I never thought the man I loved more than anything would become the reason my world shattered into a million pieces. My name is Emily, and for 12 years I believed I had the perfect life. A devoted husband, a beautiful home, and our precious 5-year-old son, Liam. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We had dreams. We had plans. Until the day everything I thought I knew turned out to be nothing but a carefully built lie. It started with little things, small cracks I tried to ignore. David would come home late from work meetings. He'd spend hours on his phone with the screen turned away. When I asked, he'd smile that same warm smile that once made my heart flutter and say, "Just tired, babe, business is stressful." I believed him. I wanted to believe him. After all, he was the man who had stood beside me through my hardest days, the father of my child. We had saved for years. Every extra dollar went into our joint account, our future. College for Liam. A bigger house. Maybe even a family vacation to the beach we always talked about. $94,000. That was our entire life savings. Money I had worked nights for. Money David said he was investing wisely. But what I didn't know that day was that while I was packing lunches and reading bedtime stories, my husband was building an entirely different life with another woman. A secret family, a second home, and a future that didn't include me or our son. I still remember the morning it all began to unravel. Liam was sitting on the kitchen floor playing with his toy cars. I was making breakfast when his little voice called out, "Mommy, why does Daddy have another house?" My heart stopped. I turned slowly, forcing a smile. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" He looked up at me with those innocent eyes and said, "I saw pictures on Daddy's phone. There's a lady and a little girl. They live in a blue house with a swing." I laughed nervously. Kids say the strangest things, right? But that night, when David was in the shower, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked his phone. And that's when my nightmare truly began. The photos hit me like a punch to the chest. David smiling with another woman. A beautiful woman holding a little girl who looked about 3 years old. In one picture, he was kissing her forehead. In another, they were standing in front of a house I didn't recognize, a blue house with a white swing in the front yard. Just like Liam had said, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely scroll. Bank notifications I had never seen before. Large transfers. Thousands of dollars moved out of our account over the past 2 years. All of it gone. Our $94,000 vanished. When David stepped out of the shower, I was sitting on the edge of our bed, holding his phone. The look on his face when he saw me, I'll never forget it. Not anger, not shame, just cold calculation. "Emily, let me explain." There was nothing left to explain. The messages, the "I miss you" texts, the ultrasound pictures. She was pregnant again. While I was struggling with Liam's picky eating and my own exhaustion, my husband had created a whole new family behind my back. I screamed. I cried. I threw his clothes out of the closet and told him to get out. He begged. He cried too, said it was a mistake. Said he loved me and Liam more than anything, that the other woman meant nothing. But the money was gone. The trust was destroyed. And every memory of our life together suddenly felt poisoned. For weeks I lived in a fog. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I kept wondering what I did wrong. Was I not pretty enough? Not exciting enough? Not enough, period. I looked at my son and my heart broke all over again. How was I going to tell him that Daddy wasn't coming home? How was I going to explain that the man he idolized had chosen someone else? I confronted the other woman. Her name was Rachel. She claimed she didn't know about me. She said David told her he was divorced. When I showed her our wedding photos and Liam's birth certificate, she looked as devastated as I felt. 2 women, 2 broken hearts, 1 selfish man. But the worst pain came when the reality of our finances hit. The house payment was behind. Credit cards maxed out in my name. David had taken everything and poured it into his secret life. I was left with almost nothing. Just a scared little boy who kept asking when Daddy was coming back. That's when something inside me began to change. The pain was still there, raw and suffocating, but underneath it, a quiet fire started burning. I was done being the victim. I was done crying myself to sleep. I decided I would get justice, not just for me, but for my son. I spent months gathering evidence, every transfer, every message, every photo. I hired a lawyer who specialized in financial betrayal cases. I documented everything, and then I waited for the perfect moment. David thought I was weak. He thought I'd fall apart and he could keep controlling the narrative. He even tried to come back, saying he'd ended things with Rachel and wanted to rebuild our family. But I had already spoken to her. We weren't enemies anymore. We were two women who had been played by the same man. The day of the final confrontation, I invited him to the house under the pretense of discussing custody. He walked in smiling, thinking he had won me back. But waiting in the living room were my lawyer, a forensic accountant, and printed folders with every piece of evidence. Liam was with my sister. I didn't want him to see what was coming. I looked my husband in the eyes and said, "You took $94,000 from your own son's future. You built another family while I sacrificed everything for ours. Today, you lose it all." The court battle was brutal, but the evidence was overwhelming. David lost the house. He lost his savings. He was ordered to pay back every cent plus penalties. Rachel joined me in the proceedings. Together, we made sure he couldn't hide anymore. His reputation in our community was destroyed. Friends who once stood by him turned away when the truth came out. But the moment I'll remember forever came from my 5-year-old son. A few weeks after everything exploded, David tried one last time to contact me. He called from an unknown number. Liam was playing nearby and somehow picked up my phone before I could reach it. I heard my little boy's voice, clear and innocent. "Daddy, you made Mommy cry. You're not nice. Don't call again." Then he hung up. That simple, pure call from our son was the final blow. David never tried again. Today, life is not perfect, but it is peaceful. I sold the house, paid off the debts, and moved to a smaller place filled with love instead of lies. Liam is thriving. He understands more than I wish he did, but he also sees his mother strong and standing tall. I learned something powerful through all this pain. Betrayal breaks you, but it can also rebuild you stronger than before. Never ignore the red flags. Never stay for someone who chooses to hurt you every single day. And most importantly, protect your peace and your children at all costs. If you're watching this and going through something similar, know this: you are not alone. The pain is real, but so is your strength. The truth always comes out. And sometimes, the smallest voice in the room, like a 5-year-old picking up the phone, becomes the one that ends the nightmare. Thank you for being here with me. If this story touched you, please share it. Someone out there needs to know they can survive this too. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and never let anyone steal your light.